Hey there, Squirrel Army! How's it going for today? We are doing a new deck tech here with Jedit from the new Dominaria set. He's actually in the one of the commander decks. I believe you can also get him through some of the other packs. Not too sure, because Wizards never makes it clear where you can get any of these cards. And whatnot. But anyway, hey, this is a deck that I want to build for myself. And hey, I thought, hey, you guys might want to see it too, because it's a pretty cool, interesting deck. So this is a Bant, Legendaries, and Tokens deck. So what Jedit does and whatnot is, he's a 3-mana 3/3. When he comes into play, you can pay a green to make a 2/2 cat, which is okay. But also, whenever we cast a legendary creature, or whenever a legendary creature enters our battlefield, we can pay green to make another 2/2 cat. So that's alright as well. It's not the most amazing commander in the world ever, as I know some people will say, oh, this is not good enough for CDH, but whatever. This is a deck that I'm interested in, and I know there'll be a few people that are interested in this commander because he's a pretty cool commander. You can do a couple things with him. I really wanted to go down the as many legendaries as possible in the deck that also function as token makers and token generators and do stuff with tokens and that sort of thing. So that's what I've done here. So let's get on into it. But if you're enjoying the content here, you can join the Squirrel Army by subscribing and turning on the notifications. Alrighty, so here we are over on the MTG Goldfish layout for now, at least. So you can see how much money I've put into this, which is, a little bit because, hey, I've got a little bit of a budget to work with to a degree as well. So, hey, there we go. But you can also see the curve of spells and whatnot down here. You can also see how many instants, enchantments, creatures, lands, sorceries, etc. that we're running in this deck. You can also sort of see the distribution. I think we're heavier white slightly than heavier green. But certainly blue is our smallest splash and whatnot. But there you go. Is what it is. Honestly, we could maybe be running a couple more blue spells, like Resculpt and things like that for removal and whatnot. That's a pretty good spell and whatnot. So we could be running some of that. But anyway, this is the list. Now, it's not 100% legendaries because, we need ramp. We need card draw. And, well, I think most of the card draw is fine. But, again, we need ramp. We need all these other spells and things to do what we're trying to do, get to our game plan. So we can't just run all these legends because there's not enough legends that ramp us or whatever, all that sort of stuff. So there's a few other cards in here. But mostly it is legends. So let's get through the list. Actually, I'll put it on Architect so it's a little bit easier to read through. All right, here we go. Let's see what we've got going on here. Oh, yeah, so they are listed by alphabetical. I thought they were listed by mana cost here for a second. I was a bit confused, but whatever. Me and my confusion. So, well, I'll just go through the enchantments really quickly because there's not many there. Cathar's Crusade, we're making a lot of little tokens and whatnot, so buffing them up in any way, especially when we're making so many tokens every turn, means that we'll get so much more out of something like this, so it's very useful. We want our stuff to be big, evasive, or whatever, that sort of thing, so Divine Visitation is really good. Changing all the 1/1s or whatever that we're making into 4/4 flyers, really useful. Legion Loyalty, actually it's pretty good with some things in our deck, like Sakashima and Divine Visitation itself, and whatnot. But yes, we are running a lot of legends in this deck, but it is mainly here for the tokens. I did think about that. I did take into account my own rant about running too many legends and whatnot. But that is what that is. And it is a very useful card, I do find. It's one of those really great cards that you can almost not do without sometimes in a way. I'm not going to go through the removal too much because it's nothing too exciting. Everything that you would sort of expect, I guess. Same with like the ramp and whatnot for the most part here, and other removal spells and whatnot. There's not much here to talk about. I won't go through the lands too much because, again, I feel like those people who are running on a budget will have a completely different list to what I've got here. And actually, I'll probably have a completely different list to this when I get done doing it, because I'll put fetch lands and whatnot in this deck eventually, or at least the proxies of fetch lands in this deck, so I can run it. But yeah, I'm sure other people will put more better dual lands and whatnot in, but it's certainly a decent list of most of the untapped duels, and a couple. I do think I might have a couple of the fetch lands, or at least one of them. Oh no, I actually do have the fetch lands in this list at the moment. I didn't think I did, but there you go. Flooded Groves in here somewhere, I'm sure, maybe. Oh no, it's not. I think I'm only running the green hitting ones, but whatever. That is what it is. And again, you could run more fetch lands, as I say. So people often do that. So Adeline, really good. Makes us tokens whenever we attack with creatures. We are an attacking with creatures deck. It's a legend. Works with what we're doing. Adrix and Nev doubles up our tokens. Also is a legend. Really good. AC, this is just in the slot of it draws us cards and is a legendary, so it serves those two purposes. I think Arasta was one of the ones that was kind of on the end of the list when I was making this, so you certainly could take it out. It's not the most amazing card. I don't really like those cards that you don't have control of or whatnot. You have to rely on your opponents doing stuff and whatnot. Beanie, I think he was one of the ones that was close to being on the end of the list, but we needed some more card draw, I felt, and he kind of provides us it. Plus, he also is a legend. As I say, most of the cards in here are legends, so Brimaz makes tokens, is a legend. Kaladelia, however you say her name, makes tokens, is a legend, so those are the things we're looking for. Chulane draws us cards, can ramp us, and is just kind of bonkers. Plus, it's a legend, so it just fits a lot of boxes for this deck. Of course, it might be better if Chulane was the face commander, but hey, whatever. Edric just draws us more cards when we hit people, so that's something we want. Geist Restraint Traff, not that amazing. The tokens that it makes are pretty good, but it's a legend, and, you know, that's sort of what we care about, so that's where we're at. Ghost Shintai, also a legend, and also makes tokens. It's only for the number of shrines we control. We only have one shrine, but still, it's on theme. I think it was another one of the last ones I was putting in. Godolo Eternal Ketram actually makes decently sized tokens. It's one of the very few creatures that's in the list that actually makes decently sized tokens. But is a legend, does a lot of work for us, so yeah, really good. Goreclaw just buffs our stuff up and makes some of our later game stuff cheaper to cast, plus is a legend, as I say. So it sort of is ramp and it buffs our stuff, which is useful things that we do need, because it's very difficult for us to sort of finish the game with, you know, out trample or whatever, those sorts of things. Gorax, I don't know how you're meant to pronounce his actual name, but whatever. More card draw, another legend. Can save some of our creatures that aren't tokens from dying by returning them to hand, and then we can replay them and that sort of thing, so that can be reuseful. Reuse ETB triggers. Green Sleeves. Green Sleeves is really good. Actually, I really wanted to put the ape in here along with it, but it's not a legend, so I was like, bit sad, but I couldn't really find room for it either. But green sleeves makes some 3/3s, that's pretty big. So, and it's a legend again, so yep, really good. That's our commander. Joriel makes tokens when we draw cards, and also can buff up our stuff, so that's, useful again. We need our stuff to hit people. Kamal buffs our stuff up, plus he's a legend. Almost all of these are legends, like I say. Maybe I'll just say the ones that aren't legends. Katilda, Manadork can also buff up our stuff, really good. Kadama lets us play 2 spells per turn, lets us play 2 lands per turn, per spell we get basically double mana and things like that, so that's really good. Coma, more medium-ish big tokens. Its effects as far as making things making itself indestructible or whatever, that can be useful because people will try to kill it. And it can tap down stuff, so that means our stuff can get through sometimes. Marja, buffing up our stuff, making more tokens. Mavrin, I think he was one of the later ones that I was actually adding as well. But whenever he attacks, we make tokens. So it's kind of what we wanted. Maleficent, however you say her name. So whenever we deal combat damage, essentially, we get spirits. She costs less for the number of spirits we control. We're probably not going to have that many spirits when we cast it, but then again, you never know. We do have maybe some other spirit generators. I'm not too sure, but it is there. It does make tokens. It is what we want to do. Minin, however you say its name. Whenever we draw our second card each turn, we make a 1/1 token, so that's useful again. The Mercenary, I'm not sure about this. I wasn't sure about it in a couple of decks that I was building. The main idea here is to get as many tokens out of it as possible and whatnot. And it's indestructible, so it's kind of useful sometimes as well, just as a, big 4/6 or whatnot on the battlefield, so pretty good. Odric, we've got a lot of creatures, or we're going to be making a lot of creatures in this deck. Lots of tokens, so, just attacking with 4 things isn't going to be hard, and then we can choose how our opponents block, so we can choose for them to not block. So that means we'll just, get in there with bunches of damage. Queen Aniel, however you say her name, makes us extra tokens, so that's really good. Is also pretty big, equal to the number of tokens we have. Reki, hey, we're playing a lot of legends, so you know what's good with playing lots of legends? A card that draws us cards for legends. Pretty good, so yeah. Reese the Redeemed, just more token making. Sakashima, we can copy our best thing, or whatnot, or even our worst thing to make it better. I don't know. Not the best card, but whatever. We often just copy our best spell, but whatever. Sakura Tribe, just for ramp. Sekiai, or whatever you call him. Again, kind of close to the Myosian in a way. I think this is what they were kind of based on, these guys and whatnot. But whenever damage is dealt to him, we remove counters from him and we make spirits equal to the damage. We can sacrifice a few spirits to bring him back, which can be useful. Keep getting more and more spirits. Skullwinder, just more recursion and whatnot, really useful. Tadiova, more card draw. So we certainly do have some stuff that's kind of like, that's there, but it's like, we need to have as many legends as possible. Counselor 4, mostly here for the card draw, but it also makes tokens, so that's really useful. It is one of those things where, again, I don't love it because our opponents have to do stuff and we sort of are just kind of like going, please do stuff. But people will often do stuff no matter what because it's the game of Commander. But there are times where our opponents just kind of go, I just won't cast the second thing, whatever, just so you don't get that thing. But anyway, Tolsimir, Wolfblood, taps to make a token, which is actually a 4/4 because it buffs all our green and white stuff. Most of the tokens we're making are green and white. So and or white. So yeah, very useful. Taurens, making those 1/1 tokens, very useful. Toski, more card draw, whatnot. Tristani, I don't know whether this Tristani is the best Tristani, but it buffs that bad stuff, makes some tokens, and if anyone steals our stuff, we can gain control of it, so that can be useful. This Tristani is the Tristani I think we really want in this deck. Just tap to populate. We also gain life whenever another creature enters the battlefield, so can be useful. Life is always useful. Trin, we're going to be, again, attacking with a lot of stuff, so making those extra tokens very useful. Arrows in here mainly for like card draw stroke ramp and whatnot, and plus I sort of had one floating around, so it was like, okay, toss it in there. Wood Elves for more ramp, and Xenarium, I don't know, more token generation, plus he's a pretty decent flyer. Plus the tokens that he makes are also griffins, so those griffins will start making more and more tokens for us, so it sort of starts, spamming out quite a lot of tokens. But that's pretty much it for this list. As I say, it's not the most perfect list, but I tried to make it good, I guess. And, it's not the most OP commander out there, but I think it's kind of fun, and I look forward to testing this deck and having a few games with it and whatnot. I'll have to wait till the actual set comes out to get some of the cards, obviously, because a lot of the cards are from the new set as well, so that is a little bit annoying, but hey, is what it is. But yeah, that's pretty much it, as I sort of said. You guys can let me know what you think down in the comments below. I'll be sure to respond to any and all of your comments. But yeah, if I don't see you guys down there in those comments, I'll see you in the next one.